Man, what is poppin', everybody? I got some beautiful news for y'all today, man. Hope y'all are having a blessed Saturday, dog. It's been a beautiful day. The sun is shining, as you can see behind me one time. So excuse the brightness, but we that ain't the topic, man. You know what I'm saying? Like right now, there's a lot of things in health that we need to address, man. And in order to look at things alchemically, we need to see what the physical food that we're putting into our body is actually doing energetically. And so, man, I think this is a huge piece of information that we should have been taught since youngsters, in just looking at the world and dealing with emotion and vibration, etc., in different ways as pertaining to the elements, how they get out of control, and then how they can be balanced out within the system. And so I'm gonna put it down, break down the basics of Ayurveda today. And Ayurveda is literally the science of life, and it was a Western tradition or an Eastern medicinal tradition that generated in India, and it was completely evolving separate from Western culture and medicine in its approach, and it literally branched off into its own thing. And what it does is it addresses all the elemental compositions of the universe from the five basic pieces of ourselves. If we put ourselves out and look at the 5 points of ourselves, it shows, it's a symbol. The rising star is a symbol showing that we have all the different elements within us. There's just another way, another mask, And so we have fire, water, earth, air, and space, ether, energy, spirit. And those are the 5 elements that make up our nature and are the building blocks of everything we see around us in the physical reality and beyond. So we have to really understand that at a deeper level, because when it comes down to it, it's like if we're just living an alkaline diet, or we just decide to eliminate something from our diet all of a sudden, what's gonna happen is, I make beats too one time, I just had to turn it down, but playing a little track one time. But when it comes down to it, it's like if you're just stuffing foods into your body based on the template of one person, and you're not taking into consideration your elemental composition as well, that's also going to cause havoc in your body, because your elemental compositions generate in 3 different ways. So you have vata, which is air and ether, and then you have pitta, which is fire and water, and then it also manifests within the body as kapha, which is water and earth. So if you look at the different compositions of the elemental makeup and then combining them, air and space is just energy flowing. You know what I'm saying? That's pitta. Vata. Pitta is fire and water. So those are the energies of life. You know what I'm saying? Just flowing through you in a different attitude, in a different vibration. And then you also have the characteristics of what earth and water create. Mud, sticks together. The foundations of the universe holds things together, sticks it, and then if you look at the different body types that we all have on a Western level, you can actually see them dominant and how they're rooted in Ayurvedic culture. So you have ectomorph, endomorph, and mesomorph, vata, pitta, and kapha. And what they mean is that we all have predetermined body types based upon our genetics and also the energies that we hold within us. So we have people going to the gym, looking at diets that are pertaining to a certain template for everybody, and then they live by one way, and then they don't completely reach the desired results. And then people, like, it's beautiful to be physically active and stuff like that, but we have people nowadays going to the gym or working out, exercising, or whatever you may be to reach a desired physical result, when all reality, you're basing your definition of what you think your body type should be on what society has deemed it to be, or whatever image you have in your head of how your body needs to be. And most of the time, if you just, for example, if you're in an ectomorph, you know what I'm saying, and you're very skinny, and you're smaller, and then you're trying to get huge, and then you stack up all this weight, and you're meant to be smaller because of your because you're a kappa, you know what I'm saying, your air and ether, so you're constantly flowing, so you're gonna be thinner, you know what I'm saying. It's just natural. And what we need to be doing is, instead of trying to change our body type based on what we want physically, we need to understand our body type, the elements that compose it, what elements dominate it, how to balance that out, and then be the perfect body type that we're meant to be, because we're all beautiful. You know what I'm saying? Whether you're a big person, husky, skinny, whatever, we all have different energetic compositions that make up our body. And the standard of beauty, the standard of masculinity, the standard of femininity, whatever, needs to stop with putting it in a context and a template that this is the only way to be as a feminine woman, or, a curvaceous woman, or, a muscular man, or, you know what I'm saying? All those different things is like, certain body types are meant to be that way and others aren't, and how long are you going to go against what your composition and elemental makeup is? And imagine what that's doing on a psychological level and energetically to yourself by going against what you are naturally. So Ayurveda is the science of life, addressing all of these things and looking at the physical aspects of it and what it does, and how the different elemental compositions within us, whether it be kapha, vita, or pitta, they manifest psychologically, mentally, emotionally, and physically in different ways. So, for example, if somebody is a kapha and they're naturally a bigger person, earth and water, mud, they're naturally bigger, and they're a little bit their metabolism is slower naturally. They're naturally storers. And there's nothing wrong with that, you know what I'm saying? And they're meant to hold together the compositions of the universe. And so if you apply that to your purposes and talents, and understanding that on a deeper level, and then if you look at somebody's psychology, this person might be a pitta in the mind, and so that's going to manifest as very fiery, driven, very methodical, ready to get things done, lots of energy, so just that in itself is going to change somebody's whole composition. And because somebody is bigger, or because somebody's smaller, has a different type of elemental that's dominant within the physical, their mental traits or their energetic volume will also be determined by what their mental state is, what their elemental composition of the mind is, so if you want to take it further, if we have a kapha individual, and then they have the personality traits of a vata, they're very, very fast, spontaneous, open, willing to change, what I'm saying? They eat more meals in the day just because it's a different elemental composition, and so you treat them differently, which we'll get to in a second, man. So that's my little spiel of like how this is gonna change your whole makeup. In my last couple videos, I addressed fasting, what it does on an alchemical level, how to heal, the nectar of the Kundalini, properly taking care of the body, and the tools that we can use. And I did want to drop a video about diet and like superfoods and alkalinity, and like address Dr. Sebi's diet, but man, I just kept going in and understanding Ayurveda even more. And it really comes down to the elemental makeup of things and our body types, and we have to stop trying to force ourselves to be something we're not. Because if we don't know the source of why we have the ailments, whether it be manifesting physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, energetically, that's an imbalance in your elemental makeup, man. And so in order to understand what the imbalance is, how are we going to keep feeding it with the template for somebody else's elemental makeup? All you're going to do is cause havoc within the system. And if you are similar to that body type, then it may work for some time, but at the same time, it's going to throw out your characteristics of who you are. So just as, all right, I'm I'm gonna just start going in, man, because you guys are gonna be able to see it in a way that is tangible for you without me just going on. So let's read. Let's read about, what is Ayurveda, dog. You know what I'm saying? So this is by Deepak Chopra. So thousands of years before modern medicine provided scientific evidence for the mind-body connection, the sages of India, the rishis, developed Ayurveda, which continues to be one of the world's most sophisticated and powerful mind-body health systems. More than a mere system of treating illness, Ayurveda is a science of life. Ayur equals meaning life. Veda equals science or knowledge. It offers a body of wisdom designed to help people stay vibrant and healthy while realizing their full human potential. The two main guiding principles of Ayurveda are: 1. The mind and body are inextricably connected as a tool and a medium between all the different energies that we have flowing within us. And nothing has more power to heal and transform the body than the mind. Freedom from illness depends upon expanding our own awareness, bringing it into balance, and then extending that balance to the body. The process isn't as complicated as it may sound. For example, when you meditate, you effortlessly enter a state of expanded awareness and inner quiet that refreshes the mind and restores balance. Since the mind and body are inseparable, the body is naturally balanced through the practice of meditation. In the state of restful awareness created through meditation, your heart rate and breath slow, your body decreases the production of stress hormones such as cortisol and adrenaline, and you increase the production of neurotransmitters that enhance the well-being, including serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin, and the endorphins. Meditation is just one of the powerful tools the ancient Ayurvedic prescribed for balancing the mind with the body. Ayurveda also offers many other practices for expanding self-awareness and cultivating your inner state of balance. Here are a few of the most important aspects of the Ayurvedic approach for applying them to create perfect health in your own life. Understand your unique mind-body type and the specific needs that derive from it. And that is going to vary from person to person. And even if two people have the same elemental compositions, that still needs to be addressed upon the individual, because they just might have different body types that are manifesting in different ways. So the kapha might be in somebody's mind psychologically, but the kapha might also be in the body type of somebody else, and there's different characteristics that you can tell, and use your intuition. You understand, if you look at your food, and you consciously consume it and see what it does to you. You can definitely intuitively see what's going on and address it from there, and it just comes down to experience. You can't just read a book and be like, okay, this is how it goes. Ooh. No, you have to apply it to life, see what it does for you. How does it work? Then you have to ask why, understand the mechanisms, and apply and integrate it into your consciousness. And so, we don't need to go really into this, man, but eat a colorful diet. You know what I'm saying? Eat the different colors, expand, see what works for your body type or not. This is how you understand how it works, and you can also judge it based on a few of the character traits I'm gonna look at in a second. And live in tune with nature, exercise, tune into your body, do something that connects the medium with the spirit, so whether it's Tai Chi, yoga, Qigong, whatever the physical practice may be that's aligning the spiritual energies and facilitating new growth and expansion within yourself upon putting the right foods within your body, not opposing your elemental makeup, and not just sticking to the template of a diet that has been constructed by somebody else that you can't really just base everything off of that. It's a good guideline. It's good to understand that, but it goes deeper on an alchemical level, how the foods affect our body and break down into energy, and then supply us with the right nutrition in a way that it doesn't create toxins within the body, because just based on our elemental composition is going to change how they react within our body. And then how many times a day that we should eat, everything changes upon that. And then it goes even further to how the elemental compositions make up the foods that we consume. So if you look at a meal and you have a neutral doshic food such as potato, right? And then you take different herbs according to your doshas, and then you combine the herb to highlight a certain dosha and balance out your impurities. It's gonna make the meal composed differently if you just threw a bunch of salt with it and a bunch of hot sauce and whoop whoop. That's more pitta. You know what I'm saying? But if you put more cooling things on it, like for example, let's see what's cooling. Like if you put some herb on it one time, that's a cooling herb right there. You know what I'm saying? And so if you put that on it, as opposed to putting a bunch of spices that's going to heat you up like cayenne pepper, it's going to give the composition and elemental makeup of the food that you just put together different, as opposed to the recipe you might use otherwise. And in order to eat according to your dosha, you have to balance it with the opposite ones. And then you might even be outside. Like, for example, I'm in Vegas right now. It's hot outside. So I'm naturally a pitta vata. So I'm fire and air. A fire, water, and air and ether. So for me, if I don't balance out my my elemental composition with cooling foods and cooling drinks, it's gonna wreak havoc. And then the pitta is gonna go out of control. And you'll be able to see that physically. I'll dry out quicker. You know what I'm saying? My enthusiasm is going to be very sporadic. My energy is going to be too much, and very heavy. And combined with the air, it's just going to go out of whack, very spontaneous, to the point to where I can't focus on anything, etc. So it's like, but if I balance it out, it's going to highlight the positive composition of the elements that I have within me, and then I can properly express my soul and my spirit to everyone and the world. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you might think that you have a dominant body type, but it might be being expressed to you because you're out of balance. So you need to understand the elements that make up this universe and how they apply to this body, and see for yourself, experiment, experience, and how it works within you. So I'm going to talk about the different elements that make up this universe, and also how it's applied in Ayurveda. So number one, so everything in this universe is the product of different combinations of the 5 basic elements: earth, water, fire, air, and space. The 5 element theory is a fundamental basis of Ayurvedic philosophy. In Ayurveda, the 5 elements are precisely known as Panchamabhuta. Let's take a closer look at these 5 elements and how they influence the mind and the body. Akash, space, is the first element in the process of evolution, as it has been depicted as an ever-pervading, omnipresent element covering the entire cosmos. It has maximum expanse. Non-resistance is its specific attribute. When we hit a solid substance, we feel resistance. But when we move our hand in space, we do not feel any resistance. Whatever be the expanse of an object, it will be its akash. Whatever be the space occupied by a person, building, country, etc., will be the respective akash, space. Whatever is the limit of a person or an object is also the limit of their respective akash. In the human body, the akash is represented by all the pervading spaces, like the numerous pores of the skin, space into the body, alveolar and bronchial spaces, chambers of the heart, alimentary canal, blood vessels. So you can see how these elements rule the body and make up what's going on an alchemical level. Number 2, air, vayu. We have air all around us, though we cannot see it, but it can be perceived by the feeling of touch and when the wind blows against the skin. So skin, fire, air and space, vata, mostly has to do with the organ of the skin and how it's ruling the body. And we're gonna see how it applies, and then how it can manifest in different parts of the body as well, or the mind, the psyche, and the stomach, or the skin, etc., the muscles. And if you look at the 3 different types of the body types, ectomorph, endomorph, and mesomorph, as applied to the different types of doshas that we have within us, you can see that we're ruled either by the skin, the muscles, or the intestine. or the stomach. And that's what the different classifications of the body types are, and how each ruling class of whatever part of your body is the dominant part is going to determine your body type as well. So you see that in ectomorph, endomorph, and mesomorph, and that's what they mean and symbolize. And also in the different types of dosha. But in the doshas, instead of just recognizing the physical way of we're looking at things, we're looking at the energetic aspect, the creative aspect behind it, the blueprint, the mechanism of energy that's going on behind the physical body, while using the physical shell as a pure tool and medium for both. Because if we don't take care of the physical self, everything else falls away. Or if we don't take care of the mind, everything else falls away. We don't take care of the spirit, everything else falls away. We have to address everything alchemically and balanced. You know what I'm saying? So, and we can see the effects of the air through the motions, trees, fans, and windmills. Motion, movement, and the speed are means by which we recognize Vayu. Akash, or space, is the seat of Vayu. Vayu is responsible for all movements in the cosmos. It might not be the air that flows in the Earth's atmosphere, but air itself can take various forms to control the movements in the cosmos as a whole. Due to Vayu, air, there is vibration in the cosmos and in the body. The same vibration at a micro level is responsible for the sustenance of all life. In our body, it controls all the movement at physical level, circulation of blood, expansion and recoiling of the chest cage, etc., and also at the neuropsychic level, the thought process, traveling of nerve impulses, etc. All creativity, whether sprouting of a seed or growth of a fetus to regeneration of cells to creative ideas, are all possible only through Vayu, the air element. Number 3, fire, also called Agni. Agni transforms and metamorphosizes everything in the universe. The Agni is present in each and every particle, in each and every cell of our body. The same Agni is present in each and every particle of the cosmos and manifests in different forms, such as luminosity of the stars, the electricity in the clouds, or the fire from the wood. Heat, burning, and transformation are the main attributes of Agni. In our body, Agni gives heat and radiance by burning the food consumed and transforming the food juice formed out of the processed digestion into the subtle precursors essential for the nourishment and growth of the various tissues of our body. At a mental level, Agni transforms the stimuli received from the senses into knowledge and thoughts. So while we have all these different elements in us controlling different functions of the body, etc., we have two unstable compositions of opposing elements that need to be addressed, that are making up our body, and we need to complement. And if you look at the astrological chart as well, and astrotheology, it also directly influences how we were born astrologically, and the elements also are corresponding to the different signs that we have. And I'm going to give you examples of what's going on and show how the body in the astrological chart, according to Santos Bonacci, is related to our whole composition, and how it makes up, and how to facilitate the CHRISM and the true nurturing of the soul and the spirit through the taking care of the physical shell, and understanding how the planets and the elements and everything in this universe is reflected within us, as above, so below. And so we're going to address the different parts of what it means to heal, the deficiencies of the signs, the deficiencies of having certain elements, how to balance them out, and what to do alchemically so you can fully function and be the perfect you that you can be on a base level, because everything else will flourish from there. And so number 4, we have water. The water element has the inherent property of cohesion. The water we see is composed of all 5 elements with the dominance of water element. In the cosmos, the water element is responsible for balancing the fire element, so much so that the universe is visualized as a combination of Agni, fire, and Soma, water. The fluidity and cohesiveness and coldness are the hallmark of the water element. As in the cosmos, the water element balances the Agni in our body. It is responsible for maintaining the fluidity of various important body components, and it is responsible for holding together of various tissues within our body. At the mental level, it is responsible for the feelings of love and affection that holds the family together. Earth. The most important inherent property of the earth element is to give substance. Like we described in the case of water, the earth we inhabit does not represent the earth element. In the cosmos, the earth element is responsible for giving matter the ability to be perceived, to exist, to get still in the dimensions of time and space. When this matter comes under gravitational force, it results in weight. So in our body, all that is substantive, heavy, stable, and still is represented primarily by the earth element. For example, our bones. Due to its inherent properties, the earth element in our body gives anchorage or holding capacity. So you can see how if somebody has a certain dominant, body type, or a certain type of psychological type, or a certain type of emotional type, etc., they can manifest it within these characteristics of the elements that compose our, not only our universe, but our physical self and the cosmos. You know what I'm saying? So if we look at that and the characteristics of them, we can see how they would manifest within somebody, and see how we are, and see how, if somebody's out of balance in a certain way, it does take a requirement to balance it out in another direction. So if we stop looking at, negative, quote unquote traits, and looking at things that we must overcome, etc., if we just look at it as an imbalance of our gifts and an imbalance of the elements that compose our body, mind, and spirit, we definitely can look at it as something that's tangibly changeable, something that's tangibly able to transform in a way that we can touch it and have more control over, just by understanding the basic elements and building blocks of this universe that have been neglected so far and so long in the Western world, in many forms of health today. And even the word Ayurveda says, it's the science of life, bro. The science of motherfucking life. So we need to take this into consideration, the building blocks, man. So what is a dosha? I keep talking about doshas. I explained it in a self-experiential manner, but I'm gonna just get down and give you the facts as well, because don't just take my word for it. So I must provide evidence and then methods to do so as well. So what is a dosha, man? According to Ayurveda, there are 5 elements: space, air, fire, and water, and earth, that are the building blocks of nature. These 5 elements or principles comprise everything that we perceive with our senses and exist both within and without us. These elements organize themselves into 3 essential principles of life: movement, metabolism, and protection, known in Sanskrit as Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, or our doshas. So right here we have, you can see Vata is ether and air, space and air; Pitta, fire and water; Kapha, earth and water. We can think of these elements as wind, fire, and earth forces that govern every natural function and regulate every process within our mind and in our body. Everyone is born with a Prakriti, or original dosha, and everyone has a Vikruti, which is their current state or of doshic balance or imbalance. So if you continue to take care of your doshas and understand how your elemental composition is made up, eat according to it, do the right type of activities according to your body type and your elemental composition of your mental state, etc., and understand how to balance it out. Over time, what's going to happen is, if you stay resonating at the proper rate that you're supposed to, you're literally going to raise in vibration so much more than just, trying to be a different body type, or eating the foods that you just think is good for you because somebody talked about it and laid out scientific proof that if you're alkaline, that's dope. You know what I'm saying? Alkalinity is amazing, but how does it apply to my elemental composition in a way that I can eat alkaline foods and still balance out my elemental composition? That's what it comes down to, because the diet is a template, not for one person, but a template. That's all it is, bro. It's a template. So you can look at it, but understanding Ayurveda and the elements, applying that to the template, is going to give you the perfect recipe for expansion of the mind, body, and soul. You know what I'm saying? So Vata, the dosha, is made up of air and space. Its primary function is movement. It is the queen of the doshas, as it affects everyone and is the easiest to get out of balance, especially in the Western world today. How quickly things are. Everybody wants instant gratification, and what that's going to do on a base psychological level is throw that out of whack, just because of that in itself. So taking the environment, society, energy that's being brought into your life, what you're subjecting yourself to, all takes a toll on your doshas and your balance or imbalance. And therefore, if it manifests within the mind anywhere, it's not going to facilitate the CHRISM and the sacred secretion to happen properly. Your energy levels are not going to be functioning at the right way properly. And if you're not taking care of what we're missing and balancing it out, etc., it's just going to be an incomplete way of living on all levels. So Ayurveda is just addressing what's beyond this physical self, what's beyond this physical shell, but also addressing it to the fullest and why there's more to it. So qualities: cold, light, dry, irregular, rough, mobile, quick, changeable. Physical characteristics: thin, light frame, variable digestion, dry skin and hair, cold hands and feet, moves and talks very quickly, lacks sexual stamina, restless or hyperactive. Temperament: welcomes new experiences, resists routine, is a lively conversationalist, spends money easily. When in balance, the qualities that come out when in balance. So if you're treating it and balancing it out correctly with the right applications, it manifests as energetic, creative, adaptable, shows initiative, good communicator, because these are all gifts. But if we don't address the source of the issues, they become ego demons, man. They manifest as something that's going to be a negative anchor of energy within your psyche, and it's going to translate through everything else. So when it's out of balance, you tend towards mental agitation, anxiety, worry, inconsistency, insomnia, delicate digestion, and constipation. So they can manifest as gifts or poisons as well. And you can, if you pay attention to even just what's out of balance and what you have in balance, you can understand what needs to be addressed next. And then if you take it even further, if you can see that in other people, you won't. What's the point of judging them if you know that a motherfucker is just out of balance? You know what I'm saying? So if we grew up as children knowing this stuff from the jump, imagine how we would interact with the world on an elemental, ethereal, alchemical level, bro. Beyond just the physical, everything would have been addressed properly. You know, our bodies would have been manifested perfectly, exactly how we're supposed to, and be the perfect self in ourselves, man. You know what I'm saying? And so Pitta, the Pitta dosha is made up of fire and water. Its primary function is metabolism. Qualities: hot, light, intense, penetrating, pungent, sharp, and acidic. So if all of these things need to be balanced out if you're dominant. So you would do the opposite. You would treat it with cold, dark, you know what I'm saying? Calming, because if it's too out of balance, which we'll get to in a second, it's gonna wreak havoc within the system. Physical characteristics: medium build, strong digestion, thinning or gray hair, war body temperature, perspires easily, sleeps soundly for short periods of time, and a strong sex drive. Temperament: sharp intellect, discriminating, direct, precise, stays close to routine, courageous, good teacher and speaker, spends money on items and enhances prestige. When in balance, it manifests as bright, warm, good decision making, strong digestion. And when out of balance, angry, irritable, excessively critical or harsh, judgmental, aggressive, intimidating, skin rashes, burning sensations, and indigestion. And if you look at athletes, people that are very motivated, they usually a lot, or not usually, but a lot of them, because of their dominant in the pitta traits, medium build, they're ready to put more muscle on, they're made for this. They end up having more thinning or graying hair quicker because of the fire is burning up the cells so quickly. And if you're not balancing it out by only resonating with the fire lifestyle, and you are fire dominant, you have to make sure to take care of the cooling nature, and maybe do a little bit more kapha techniques for you to actually balance out your pitta. And so it would stop all of the negative things from manifesting within yourself. For example, like, you get too hot too quick. You know what I'm saying? And then your hair will burn off you know what I'm saying, at the follicles, or it'll turn gray. You know what I'm saying? So in order to balance that out, those are just minor. And then you see what happens manifest in the mind and the emotions. You know what I'm saying? You get skin rashes, burning sensations, you know, heat waves. And in order to balance it out, you have to take into consideration the opposite elemental spectrum to apply to your diet and lifestyle. So now you can balance that energy and bring it to its highest resonating point before it becomes destructive, and it's gonna raise your vibration and highlight your gifts and your purpose in life. Stress response. What did you do wrong? What did you do wrong? Wow. And the stress response is, what did I do wrong, of the Vata type. So you can see how just the two emotions of what did I do wrong, you know, all the time, when it may not even be the case. Or now you're looking outwardly, the fire is burning, consuming everything in its path. What did you do wrong, you know what I'm saying? What did you do wrong? You feel me? And so it just shows in just having two different dominant elemental compositions is going to manifest in different ways, and we have to balance it out and take that into consideration. So the Kapha dosha is made up of earth and water. Its primary function is protection. Qualities: cold, heavy, solid, stable, smooth, and slow. Physical characteristics: heavy set, smooth skin, thick hair, sweet face, deep sounding sleep, slow moving, regular digestion, gains weight easily and has difficulty losing it, good stamina, slow and easy sex drive, process oriented, temperament, easygoing and patient, thoughtful, stable, content, devoted, loving, comfortable with routine, saves money. When in balance: steady, consistent, loyal, strong, and supportive. When out of balance: dull, inert, needy, attached, or congested, overweight, overly protective. Stress response: I don't want to deal with it. You know what I'm saying? Like the manifestations of the qualities. I don't want to deal with it. You just want to hold on to what's going on here and sink in. You know, the fire. What did you do wrong? You just want to address the situation, burn it up. What the fuck you doing? You know what I'm saying? And then the opposite, Vata, the air. What did I do wrong? You know, you're projecting and blowing everything towards yourself when you're out of balance. You know, and you don't have enough perception to understand that sometimes shit just happens. You know what I'm saying? But these are all negative manifestations of what happens when you're out of balance. And it manifests in different ways: physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and energetically. Ayurveda's fundamental approach to well-being is that you must reach your unique state of balance in your whole being, body, mind, and spirit. Knowing and understanding your dosha, and especially your current doshic balance or imbalance, helps you maintain a vibrant state of health and happiness. It gives you the ability to listen to your own body, and oftentimes simple and easy changes to maintain that balance. Different doshas utilize different techniques to maintain balance. For instance, heat helps Vata balance, while cooling helps balance Pitta. You balance it with the opposing elemental compositions, so that you can bring the full elemental force into balance within your body. Because just as how we have certain traits with astrology, you know, we're born into the universe, and looking at the natal chart, what time we were born at, the environment we were born in, where it was at, the location, all of that, and then the planetary alignments and what part of the cosmos they were at, all play a different part in our elemental composition. So I'm going to show you earlier how the elements apply and manifest within the astrology too. So, you know, this applies also to sacred secretion in the CHRISM. This applies to taking care of the body, opening more energy channels, facilitating the Kundalini energy, taking care of the different elemental compositions within you, balancing them out, and creating the right environment for energy to blossom and grow and manifest your gifts and to give to the world. You know, and this is what it means to combine everything in a syncretic manner. We have to look at things as everything being relatable, and taking off the mask and seeing the face underneath it, seeing what's going on, seeing the being beneath it, because it does not change. Whatever you want to dress it up with, we all have the map and the network of the energy the elements that make up the universe, and the different spectrums of things that we need to look at beyond the physical, which is here. You know, there's photos nowadays that you can look at with specific wattages and volts, and you can literally take a picture of somebody and see the energy radiating off of them. E equals mc squared. Einstein said E equals mc squared. So energy equals matter times light squared. So we have to take into consideration the dimensions of light squared beyond us. We have to. And that's how we're going to facilitate everything else to come along first. But how are we going to be able to address the solution if we don't even know the problem yet? So this is what Ayurveda is taking into consideration. So now we can take all of the knowledge that we gained about alkalinity from Dr. Sebi, you know, all the different types of holistic medicine and healing and everything, and apply it to Ayurveda in a way that we're looking at the energetic composition of not only the individual, but what makes up the individual and how to complement it and balance out the improperties within it. You know what I'm saying? You know, and with astrotheology, combining that and seeing how each astrological sign or dosha or whatever is missing certain elemental compositions that you need to balance it with, and 12 out of the 12 cell salts, whatever sign you are, whatever your rising sign and whatever your descendant sign is in the natal chart, your 6th house is going to determine what you're missing as an individual as well. And that applies to your elemental composition. So, and I'm going to give you list of foods that you can apply to your life, and I'm going to show you a little video one time about the cell salts and how you can use them, and then how you can purchase them individually for your sign. And I'm going to give you the missing links to your sign as long as to your dosha, and then methods you can do physically to combat this, emotionally, etc., and whatever you can do to manifest the right environment for energy to expand within this self in this shell, man. And so psychological patterns supporting the tridoshic theory. So genetic expression extinguishes dosha types. The patterns of blood chemistry, physiological states, chronic diseases are all associated with each dosha type. Man, so it really has to be taken into consideration, man. We're all different. And even if two people have the same body types and compositions, we're still different on a molecular level, dog. You know what I'm saying? And what our spirit needs, and, you know, and then how we take care of our body, what we allow into our consciousness, how we breathe, all of those things is going to change our elemental composition over time as well. Because, you know, if you feed elements and it goes into rage, it's going to manifest in different ways too, or vice versa. If you're completely like giving yourself harmony and synergy of the elements, it's going to manifest differently. And so we also have to look at what it does to the mind. You know what I'm saying? Oh, hold up. So the theory of dosha brain types. Brain functioning underlies and affects mental behavior and functioning. So if you properly want the CHRISM to expand within the mind, the pineal gland to be calcified, you know, the DMT and the serotonin to be dripped down the spine, the cerebrospinal fluid to be created correctly within the claustrum and the ventricles. Like, you have to take into consideration your dosha, because if you're going against your mental dosha or your body's dosha, it's not going to manifest energy the correct way, and it's going to come out as impurities. And then how you combine your foods together, what you do on a day-to-day is going to change that. And it's either going to manifest as toxins and destruction, or elevation and synergy within the system. And that's just the truth. You know what I'm saying? And but you know, it definitely, you need to look at this yourself and experience and understand what it means to have a dosha. Like, what are the elements in certain foods? How do they make me feel, etc.? And then see how you can balance yourself out in an experiential manner, because this is what's going to teach you and anchor in the understanding of actually applying Ayurveda and holistic medicine to your life alchemically. And so, thus, defining mental brain types may give means to understanding the differences. Hold up. The doshas, which are based on observable mental and physical behavior, are characteristics, should also be based on different patterns of the brain and nervous system functioning. So the CHRISM will rise up and the Kundalini will rise upon a network of hormones and nerves. So we have to take care of the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, not just physically, but on an alchemical level. Thus, defining fundamental brain types may give a means to understanding individual differences. That sometimes somebody just may be out of balance in their dosha. For instance, Vata dosha, which is highly variable in behavior and in response to the environment, would be associated with a greater range of functioning of the brain and the nervous system. Pitta dosha, which is characterized by dynamism, would be associated with fast, passionate responses of the brain and nervous system to challenges in the environment. Kapha dosha, which is characterized by steadiness, would be associated with stable activity patterns of the brain and the nervous system. These three different types of brain functioning can be seen as different patterns of functioning of the six systems of the nervous system. Table 2 presents an overview of this model. So we'll look at it real quick. All right, let's see what's popping. So prefrontal executive circuits, the reticular activating system, autonomic nervous system, enteric nervous system, limbic system, and the hypothalamic control. And then how it's all different for different brain types of each dosha and elemental composition of the mind, and how they manifest and the characteristics. So Vata brain type is overly stimulated, acts quickly, learns quickly and forgets quickly, likes to multitask, is alert but inconsistent, can lead to nervousness, hard to fall asleep and stay asleep. The fight and flight response is frequently and easily triggered. Limbs are generally cold and have poor circulation, sensitive to pain and cold, irregular appetite, irregular bowel movements, and frequent gas. So that means you're going to be eating a little bit more frequently if you're a regular. You know what I'm saying? And just in order to balance that out, you have to supply yourself with different amounts of food throughout the day, because look, you can be overstimulated, act quickly, etc. So you have to balance that out by grounding yourself with more foods. You know what I'm saying? And irregular bowel movements, frequent gas, mood changes quickly. Fear and phobias can occur when in excess. Irregular appetite, again, in the hypothalamus. Bursts in activity, frequent snacking and drinking. That's good. You know what I'm saying? And strong reaction to challenges in the Pitta brain type. Has purposeful learning, tenacious, goal-oriented, a strong dynamic responses to every situation, goal-oriented behavior, can see impulsive behavior. The fight and flight response turns on strongly to reach a goal and then turns off. Does not like heat. Good peripheral circulation. Always hungry. Irritable if missing a meal. Loose and frequent bowels. Strong emotions. Competitive and dynamic nature. Irritable and angry when in excess. Always hungry. Strong response. Higher metabolism. Prefers cool foods and water. So you can see the different types of how in the mind and how it would manifest in the personality and in the body to have these within the brain. And what type of person that might be. Like a Vata brain type might be a little bit more creative, might want to go out more, doesn't want to have a schedule, very spontaneous, optimistic when it comes to things, but they're so spread out that they're always able to change up, do more things. You know what I'm saying? But what about a Pitta? The Pitta is strong reaction to challenges. So if a Vata got into a situation where they had to get a bunch of orders out all of a sudden, and they're working, they had to get a bunch of orders out, they're gonna be like, all right, this is a little too much, because they're always already like that. You know what I'm saying? They're already like ready to change it up, ready for things to happen. So when something big comes in and fluctuate it, their quick acting and all of that is gonna imbalance, and they're gonna be easily overstimulated. But that could also change if you're a Vata Kapha or if you're a Vata Pitta. You know what I'm saying? Or if you're a Pitta in that situation, You're gonna be like, all right, let's make it happen. This is my opportunity to shine. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna slack at all. We gonna make this happen. You're usually the leader in the situation. You know what I'm saying? And the Vata would be like, all right, let's make it happen too. After seeing the Pitta go in, and then the Kapha would hold it together. You know what I'm saying? They're chilling. It doesn't really bother them like that. You know what I'm saying? Because they're looking at it from a way they can find a solution and then address it, but still not let it overwhelm them or think that this is any different from just living regular. You feel me? Because they have methodical thinking and action. They learn slow with high level of retention. It prefers routine, needs stimulation to get going. If you see that in the body type and everything like that, that type of person, if they're sitting down too much, their metabolism is really slow, they're a little bit more heavy set. In order to get their energies balanced and moving and going, is they have to get up and put in work and just get moving. And that's what's going to get their energy balanced out and in the proper synergistic fashion within the elemental body. The easily falls asleep and stays asleep. The fight or flight response is not easily evoked. High parasympathetic response, sensitive to cold and dampness, can easily miss a meal. Regular daily bowel movements, calm and happy, rarely gets angry, shy and depressed when in excess, can easily miss a meal. Low and steady response, lower metabolism, tendency to gain weight quicker. So it's that type would be a storer. You know what I'm saying? And it amazes me, man, to be able to look at it in this way. I feel like this has been missing from a lot of health regimens and just addressing what we are as a being on all levels needs to be considered with the building blocks of not only the universe but what make us up as a human being. Because the greatest quote, as above so below, we have to understand that as above, everything without is within below. You know what I'm saying? And vice versa. Everything within here is out there, man. And we have to take into consideration our elemental composition, the astrological alignment of the planets during our birth, because that also determines our elemental composition. And then how, if we apply all of these different understandings of alkalinity and diet, if we combine that with energy transmutation, if we combine that with the elemental compositions that make up our body, and the astrological signs that were all encompassed into us during our creation, addressing the physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and energetic levels of the being, we can understand exactly how we work and what we can do to balance out our imbalances and overcome the ego, overcome what makes us fall, overcome what makes us attached to destruction. You know what I'm saying? Because once we do that, we're coming into synergy and alignment with not only ourselves but nature itself, and we will feel more, understand more, integrate more into the things around us, and that is profound. We're sacrificing a diminished way of living for a grander scale of understanding and feeling and resonating with what's going on around us and within us, and addressing Ayurveda, addressing alkalinity, addressing energy transmutation in these ways, and putting them together in syncretic fashion is what's going to help us to blossom into a full human being and be a human being that we were perfectly came to this earth to fucking be. You know what I'm saying? And manifest the divine, the energy. When I say the divine, I mean the higher spectrum of vibration. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to talk about different things you can do to balance these things out. And not just food wise. So when Vata is out of balance, it means too much air and results in excess movement and ungroundedness on both the inner and outer levels of our lives. What to do? Practice a grounding meditation to activate more balance. If sitting still while meditating is difficult, then consider going with and harnessing the excess movement by practicing a walking meditation. As you move, you will find that with time, it will be easier to cultivate more focused attentiveness while walking. After a time, you will also be able to practice sitting meditation. What's up? Man, shout out Dion Guru, man, for the mantra one time. Let me know if it was a little too loud, bro. But I gotta resonate with the energies one time. Give myself to something beyond, man. You know what I'm saying? Because there's too much beyond us, man. We can't, you know what I mean? But anyway, praise the divine Om, you know what I'm saying? As you move you find with time, it will be easier to cultivate more focused attentiveness while walking. And after a time, you will also be able to practice a sitting meditation. So you can do things in a physical manner too, to balance out what's going on, and I'll get more into the foods and what not to combine, and then understanding your dosha and how to apply that, you know what I'm saying? And when pitta is out of balance, it means too much fire and results in excess heat and combustion that activate too much intensity, frustration, and aggressiveness. What to do? Practice a cooling meditation to activate more balance. Consider practicing self-compassion meditation, formally at least one time each day, plus informally generate loving kindness throughout the day whenever you experience hyper-alertness or excessive passion, or when you witness others behaving in an overly dominant or aggressive fashion. Kapha. When Kapha is out of balance, there is too much earth, and this results in excessive couch potatoes. That activates lethargy and dullness. What to do? Practice a stimulating meditation to activate more balance. Consider practicing mindfulness each day. As you practice consciously recognizing your sensations, emotions, and thinking, you will kindle your attentiveness that will clarify and energize your desires and intentions, which can lead to more action. That's amazing, man. Like, to be able to get in tap into what we are, and then synergetically have things manifest within us in a way that it's going to create harmony in our body, mind, and spirit. That's beautiful to have, man. But without understanding the source of the problem, without understanding that, how are we going to get to the solution if we keep feeding the problem? So we have to take into consideration the elemental compositions, And so I'm going to get to, let me see. So right now I'm also going to get to your dosha type, and then the type of yoga that you can do if you're interested, you know what I'm saying? And then, you can also apply this to Tai Chi and Qigong, etc., because they all have their own different methods and practices of addressing the elemental composition of the body and how to balance it out by doing these methods, man. And when you do yoga, Tai Chi, etc., every time you do that, you're aligning your physical self, the physical, tangible shape that we have, that we manifest within, is actually going to be in alignment with the sacred geometrical patterns of space and time. Because if you look right here, this is a perfect geometrical shape right here, that when you put your body into that alignment, practice the mudra with your hand sign, do the right breathing techniques, and do a mantra internally in the mind. All of those are activating different neurons and centers within the body, whether it might be cooling you down or whether it might be heating you up, aligning yourself with higher consciousness, whether it might be improving digestion, whatever it may be. On all levels, it's doing something, because it's having different neural pathways open up and creating neural synapses, which is opening your mind to new energies. And when we talk about the CHRISM, when we talk about how the Kundalini energy rises on a network of hormones and nerves in the nervous system, you need to expand your neural pathways and open up yourself to newer energies on a scientific level within the mind, so you can facilitate the expansion and growth of your elemental composition, bro, and become the most vibrant, high frequency being that you can be in your perfect nature, not going against yourself. And the Ayurveda categorizes the 5 basic elements into the 3 types of energy called Vata, Pitta, and Kapha doshas. The doshas represent cellular organization, and when that cellular organization is disturbed, the body and mind are out of balance. Knowing our dosha can help us understand what foods we need to eat, the type of yoga or energetic transmutation that we need to practice, and the sort of lifestyle that is best suited for our constitution. Each dosha is governed by your Prakruti and Vikruti. Prakruti is an Ayurvedic term used to describe a person's genetic composition. Vikruti is a term used in Ayurveda to describe a person's current physical and mental state. Your Vikruti is influenced by your current lifestyle and can change depending on your diet, your yoga practice, and your surroundings. Knowing your Prakruti doshic makeup at birth and your Vikruti current doshic makeup can help guide you in your personal journey towards health and awareness, and then wellness. And by understanding how that can apply to your emotional state, etc., you can and your gifts and what you're deficient in, and what you can understand as a strength and a weakness, you can then apply it and highlight your strengths. Understand your weaknesses as a way to balance them out, to highlight them as strengths even further. You know what I'm saying? And depending on where you're at, what you're doing, how you're addressing these things on, through the food, your lifestyle, and what you do is gonna change and alter your doshic makeup and balance it out and expand it or contract it, and will manifest as harmony or destruction, disease or just perfect way of living in harmony. You know what I'm saying? And so how does your dosha govern the type of yoga? If you're a vata, then you're governed by ether and air. You will be prone to constantly move and shift gears and can have a hard time sitting still and staying focused. They are sensitive to judgment and can feel inadequate if they are wrongly judged by others. An out of balance vata can be filled with worry and anxiety. Their constitution is plagued by intestinal problems and they may experience poor digestion and elimination. Yoga grounded in stillness and focus is perfect for vata imbalances. Vata yogis should try a yin practice or Kundalini yoga, where long holds and deep pranic vibration help settle the mind and the body. They should carry rose and geranium essential oil to accompany them during shavasana, the corpse pose. The scent will help ground the body and mind and further pacify the body's vata imbalance. So we're taking into consideration the elements of everything when we look at our doshas and what we can do to balance them out. Whether it be applying a certain type of essential oil or doing an energetic practice that complements and balances the opposing element. Pitta dosha, you're composed of fire and water. Your physical body will be typically muscular and lean. They're perfectionists and natural leaders, but when Pitta is out of balance, look out. Metabolically, you will be prone to extreme ups and downs. You will be filled with judgment of others, and negative fire responses will rule your day to day. In order to stabilize and restore balance, a Pitta yogi may need an Ashtanga practice where flow, sun salutations combined with grounded postures make up this rigorous discipline that will pacify your Pitta imbalance. A Pitta yogi should use the principles of Ashtanga yoga to balance the physical and spiritual warrior within. Pitta should carry lavender and neroli essential oil to pacify any lingering imbalances. Kapha lives in a set of structures of the body and is governed by earth and water. In a balanced state, Kapha yogis are strong and calm. The body is solid and not overweight. Metabolism is balanced and stable, and prana flows freely. The out of balance Kapha dosha is plagued by weight issues. The metabolism is sluggish and there is an over attachment to heavy fatty foods, and the congestion and headaches can often occur. Dude, if you look at everything and the way food is set up nowadays, you know what I'm saying? They're trying to highlight these energies so we stay out of balance. And if you continue to address the issue, just, and it's going to create lethargy within society. It's going to create obesity. It's going to create what is that? It's going to create a state of somebody just constantly ready to obey and be submissive. That's the word I'm looking for. And look at how they're doing it on a base level with the foods and the chemicals and all that stuff. It's throwing all of our doshas out of whack. And if you just continue to feed that, it's going to cause an issue in the body and the mind and spirit. So for a Kapha yogi, I recommend taking a vinyasa flow classes as a way to increase movement and bring increased prana to the body. Through movement and flow, the Kapha individual will release the stagnant energy in the body and the mind. Kapha yogis should carry eucalyptus with them to class. Pepper your mat with the essence of eucalyptus and take in the scent during shavasana in order to pacify any lingering stagnation. So you can also see how they would manifest in different people's compositions in different states and mentalities depending on what they're subjecting themselves to, as well as what their dominant type is. And like we said before, depending on what you're doing in your life, subjecting yourself to, intaking, food wise, everything, lifestyle, everything is going to change your composition and create a permanent lasting effect sometimes. And all you need to do is balance it out with the opposite energies if you see these things manifesting by doing these things. And literally it just comes down to taking consideration of what goes into the body, how we address the body, etc. And it comes down to the elemental composition, and the planets, everything takes its toll on what's going on here. If you don't want to say the planets have something to do with us, bruh, if we're 70% water, you know what I'm saying, and the earth is 70% water, how does the moon take control of the tides at night, man? How does it control the ebbing and the waxing of the tides? You know what I'm saying? The ebb and flow. How does it control that? And then if you look at the moon, and we have the same percentage of water within us, as above, so below. The seven toroidal fields. The 7 planes of existence in geocentrism. If you look at the body in the same way, the heart is being the center. It's the same thing. So we are being governed by these planets in a way that it's controlling the tides of what we are, and and where they were placed at during our birth, and the environment, etc. It makes the composition of our elemental makeup. You know what I'm saying? So we have to take that into consideration. So I'm gonna go over astrotheology in a second, but I'm gonna show how the doshas of Ayurveda are synergistically influenced with astrological signs. So in Ayurvedic medicine, there are 3 metabolic bodies associated with the 5 elements of ether, space, air, fire, water, and earth. Each of us is born with what is our natural doshic constitution, in which our physical selves will have 1 or 2 dominant doshas. During times of illness, disease, and mental or emotional stress, our natural constitution becomes imbalanced. The word dosha means defect or flaw and refers to the 5 flaws of human nature: lust, anger, greed, fear, and delusion. So we see how if they're imbalanced, and we're highlighting the imbalanced traits, and we're living based off the imbalanced traits and identifying with our imbalances, it manifests as the ego. And to overcome the ego is to uncover the spirit and the essence and the soul. So we constantly talk about, overcoming the ego in a way that's, don't live by the ego, woo whoop, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not just that though. It's not just don't live by the ego, be selfless, all these things. Like, they manifest in different ways and in different traits, you know what I'm saying? And even having strong virtues sometimes, for example, somebody who might be in the politically elite and they have the virtue of taking over society and, thinking that, they're better than us and above us and they should hold us back, etc. They have virtues in that manner. So if you talk to them, they're going to think those virtues are virtuous and what they're doing is right in their mind, eye. So is that not the manifestation of the ego and delusion of thinking that you only control the reality around you and you're the only thing going on in the universe? And, and that's why that's where the ego manifests, and the ego never accuses itself. You know what I'm saying? So if we look at the doshas and the imbalances, it's the manifestations of the ego that we're living off of by only living in a physical manner and basing it off of the 5 senses and false education and misinformation of what we've been given all throughout our lives. So we have an opportunity, if we see these types of things manifesting within us, if we balance out the traits with the opposite elemental compositions of what we are, we will be in perfect harmony and synergy. For these flaws can easily throw our natural healthy states into disharmony because they're all energetic vibrations that we give ourselves to, whether it just be in the mind or a feeling, etc. Like if you're just looking at it on an energetic level, what is it doing physically to you? You know what I'm saying? And what are you doing physically that is affecting you on an energetic and elemental level? We have to address the whole picture. The concept is very similar to the 3 roots of illnesses in Tibetan Buddhism. So the 3 roots, we have the roots of illnesses right here that manifest as different types of emotions and can easily throw our natural healthy states into disharmony. So they manifest as dis-ease, disease within the body. The 3 doshas are Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. Each dosha has its natural qualities, and is, as with the gunas of Ayurveda, there are foods that are associated with each dosha as well. So if you're dominant Vata, cold, dry, light, moving, flighty, spiritual, and thin, you might want to balance that out with hot, oily, fiery, vibrant, successful, and aggressive. Or if you're if you're Vata Kapha, if you're Vata Pitta, you might want to balance it with more cool, oily, and heavy foods, a little bit more stable, and methodical, and slow, so you can slow down that imbalance of energy going on. Or if you're Kapha, cool, oily, heavy, and stable, you might want to change that up one time to some hot and fiery. But if you throw a little bit more spices on the Vata end of the spectrum, and you might pull out the right elemental composition to balance your perfect elemental state. And whatever your dosha dominance may be, whether it's 2 or if you're 3 dosha, which we'll get to in a second as well. And that's what it means, man. And these qualities also manifest as different tastes physically that we can experience with the senses. So Vata, the taste of that is bitter, astringent, pungent, spicy, and raw. And usually the body and the mind and the physical shell craves what it's gonna like what it likes. You know what I'm saying? So if you're Vata, you're gonna crave more bitter, more astringent, more pungent and spicy things, more raw things. If you are Pitta, you're gonna crave more sour, pungent, spicy, salty, fetid, and warm foods. If you're Kapha, you're gonna crave sweet, salty, sour, creamy, and heavily cooked foods. But what that's gonna do is throw that element out of balance, because you're feeding that elemental force and creating an imbalance of energy within yourself that's gonna manifest psychologically, emotionally, and physically and spiritually on all levels. And if you just feed the problem, if you feed the disease grows. You know what I'm saying? But how are we ever gonna know? What are we always taught? What we're craving is what we're missing. You know what I'm saying? But look, Ayurvedic medicine follows the principle of like increases like. So if you like something, obviously you're going to gravitate towards it. But that does not mean necessarily it's the best thing for you, And depending on each of our constitutions, we want to nurture our natural healthy states by taking in more foods that are unlike our constitutions. For example, if you are mostly Vata and are healthy, i.e. have no illnesses or imbalances, then eating more moist, sweet, heavy, warm, and salty foods than others will help to keep your body and mind healthy, grounded, and in balance. So beyond the alkalinity, beyond just doing, an organic biodynamic diet, or beyond being vegan, or beyond being a meat eater, you know what I'm saying? Or, whatever you want to call it, it's beyond that, because those are templates of living for a certain type of dosha, and body type, and we can't just put that into one category. Like, these are the only ways this is going to manifest for people, you know what I'm saying? Because these are templates that we have to apply to our elemental structure to take that into consideration and truly be in harmony and bliss and with our perfect self and our perfect cells. You know what I'm saying? And so here, look, just as there are gunas in Vedic astrology, the doshas have an astrological influence as well, with the zodiac signs and planets having their own dominant dosha. So Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn are all Vata signs. Saturn, Vata, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius are all Pitta signs, dominated by the Sun and Mars and Ketu. Kapha signs, Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces planets, Moon, Venus, and Jupiter. Tridhatu. So that means you have 3 elemental compositions in you that are all dominant at once. Gemini, Mithuna, Libra, and Aquarius, the planets Mercury, which is also considered having the energy of both a sun and a moon. So you have the tree dosha qualities of all of them. So you have to really put in work and understand what you are. And I suggest using your intuition and experience to understand. But if you want to go in an even deeper level, I would recommend going and talking to an Ayurvedic practitioner and having them diagnose you, checking your pulses, reaction to certain foods, etc. Because they're obviously going to be understanding of all these things too in a deeper level than we are. And it's always good to humble ourselves and to learn from others, you know what I'm saying? Because we're always in a state of learning. If we stop, we become stagnant and and we could become egotistical, man. And it's time to keep learning, to keep growing, stay a student. Even the greatest masters are still learning to this day, man. You know what I'm saying? So, man, with that being said, I've given you different methods, different types of yoga, energetic transmutation, lifestyle choices, and ways to balance out the elemental compositions within ourselves and the dosha qualities that dominate our life. And it even comes down to just beyond alkaline foods and beyond just what a type of food has as a dosha, or what element the food resonates with for your dosha. If you combine certain types of foods, it will create a new doshic reaction in elemental composition, like I was explaining earlier with the potato. And there's also, like, if you combine certain things, it'll create harmony within the body. So if there's other things that you combine and eat too, it's going to create fermentation and toxicity within the body. And the elemental composition and alchemical process of these two or combination of foods combined does not matter what your dosha is or your elemental composition. It's gonna fuck up your body. It's gonna cause a harm to your cells and your tissues. And so milk is okay. Look, in Ayurveda, the term samyoga refers to combinations of food within the diet, some of which are wholesome and others that are not. For example, milk and meat are generally avoided as milk and sour tasting foods, More broadly, this notion is built into the concept of Varuda. I saw a video back in the day, man, when the whole, when they were discovering how bad, Red Bull really is for you. And this man put, Red Bull is very acidic, very fiery, and has like a sourness to it. And if you pour that into milk, and just having the two different dosha qualities and elemental makeups happen, you can see before you put it into the body, like something sour and fiery combined with milk is gonna make it immediately start to curdle up and become become harmful and destructive in its environment because of its alchemical process and elemental makeup. So it just shows right there, you can experiment for yourself and see how these actually have an effect on us, how we combine the foods and what foods we intake, and then on top of that, what our dosha is. You know what I'm saying? And so milk is incompatible with bananas, cherries, melons, sour fruit, fish, kachari, meat, yogurt, and bread containing yeast. Honey is incompatible with equal ghee by weight, ghee butter, and boiled or cooked honey. Yogurt is incompatible with fruit, cheese, eggs, fish, hot drinks, meat, milk, and nightshades. Fruit is incompatible as a rule with any other food. There are exceptions, such as certain cooked combinations, as well as dates and milk, which have the same rasa, virya, and vipaka, which are the different elemental makeups of each one. And so, Sweta Vikram, Ayurveda practitioner and yoga instructor, says combining mismatched foods generates ama, a toxic substance that is often at the root of imbalance and disease. According to Dr. Vasant Lad, when bananas and milk are eaten together, their opposing qualities tend to smother the digestive fire and can disrupt the balance of intestinal flora, digestive fire. So if you're eating these types of food and doing these things and not taking care of your dosha, the digestive fire will burn away the seed. You know what I'm saying? The Kundalini energy, when not nurtured properly, burns indiscriminately. It does not matter what you're doing. If you manifest the energy and you're not taking care of the vessel, the digestive fire will burn indiscriminately and disrupt the balance of intestinal flora, which can result in the creation of toxins. This combination also causes congestion, colds, coughs, allergies, hives, and rashes, just by combining the wrong types of foods. And look at all the foods, man. You know, we have milk and bananas and fruits. How many times has a motherfucker made a smoothie one time? You know what I'm saying? And you know, I'm vegan right now, but I don't forget my days growing up. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not here to just address the vegans. I'm here to address life, period. You know, and I understand, you know, if vegans are like, but I would never, you know, ooh. It's like, that's cool. You know, that's for you too. And I feel the same way, but we're not addressing only one type of life in person. And there's different body types and elemental compositions that we have to take into consideration now. And it's not just about us as a vegan or a spiritual person. It's about everything, and coming into harmony with our and alignment with life itself, not going against nature. And grain is incompatible with fruit and tapioca. Hot drinks are incompatible with mangoes, cheese, fish, meat, starch, and yogurt. Radishes are incompatible with bananas, raisins, and milk. Beans are incompatible with fruit, cheese, eggs, fish, milk, and yogurt. You know what I'm saying? Beans and cheese, dog. I used to tear up bean and cheese burritos, man. So they, you know, on the alchemical level, it was brought from the West. It was brought from the Greek philosophers and physiologists, and to the West, the endomorph, ectomorph, and mesomorph ideas of physiology, when those were actually rooted in ancient Ayurvedic teachings. And so it's like, how does these coincide with what's been going on back in the day? And they've literally constructed everything from the ground up for us to continue to put the wrong types of food in our body, not understand our elemental composition, not understand what it means to have a body type, not understand what it means to be the perfect type of body that you are. You know what I'm saying? Like they put all these different standards of beauty, diet regimens, you know, different types of thinking of I need to look like this in order to be accepted. Woo, woo, woo. And in all reality, a big person was born to be in that way. And that's okay, man. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to. It might be an imbalance if it's two on the wrong end. So if you balance it out, imagine what that would be. Or if you're a very, very skinny person, it might be the manifestation of an imbalance in your elemental composition and what you're intaking. You know what I'm saying? Or somebody who's really stocky and muscular. You know what I'm saying? Like, all of these have to be taken into consideration and addressed to the different types of body types, lifestyles, elements, everything, you know, needs to be looked at. And we can't just put one template on everything, bro. You know, eggs are incompatible with fruit, beans, cheese, fish, kachari, milk, meat, and yogurt. Lemon, well, wow, you know what I'm saying? Meat, you know, eggs and bacon, dog. You know what I'm saying? Eggs and sausage. We always had that back in the day. You know what I'm saying? Lemon is incompatible with milk, tomatoes, and yogurt. Melons are incompatible with everything, especially dairy, eggs, fried fruits, grain, and starches. More than most fruit, melons should be eaten alone. Nightshades are incompatible with melon, cucumber, and dairy products. You know, we got peppers, potatoes, and tomatoes, man. You know what I'm saying? Tapioca. So protein and carbohydrates are digested in chemically opposite mediums in different parts of the digestive tract. And when digestion is weak, it's a good idea to avoid rapidly digestive sugary or starchy foods, along with or after the consumption of foods rich in protein and fat. So, man, it really comes down to how are we looking at what we're putting into our body beyond what we're craving, beyond all of that. Because if we like attracts like, you know what I'm saying? And we have to eat the opposite of the composition in order to balance the elements within us, man. And then on top of that, we have to understand, what are the dominant elements in us? What is our dosha type? Is it more dominant in the mind, the skin, the digestive tract, the muscles? Is it showing physically, emotionally, spiritually? Is it a balance that's showing, or is it an imbalance that's showing up? What can I do differently? What type of lifestyle change, what type of activity can I do that's going to balance me out perfectly and synergetically? And that's what we need to look at, because nothing is just for one person or individual. Nothing, you know what I'm saying? And we have to learn on an experiential basis and understand who we are for every way. You know what I'm saying? If you want to look at all the ancient societies and cultures and the ancient esoteric traditions, the hidden schools, it all comes down to energy, frequency, vibration. Nikola Tesla said it himself, and he even understood the vortex mathematics of the toroidal flow, and he tapped in to a point to where, he was even practicing Kundalini yoga and studied under Swami Vivekananda. You know what I'm saying? His most prominent book and sought after book is Raja Yoga, and he gave up his whole life too, predicted his death, like knew, was so in touch with nature itself that he ascended his vibration and gave his all to humanity, man. And he himself was someone who Nikola Tesla was studying under. He understood energy, vibration, etc., and the toroidal field and flow, and like how everything was correlated and as above so below, to where he could amplify the field of energy and generate electricity within a light bulb that he was touching with his bare hands and not connected to any other source. So I think there's something way more deeper than what we're giving credit to, and what's going on beyond what we believe. You know what I'm saying? And we have to open up our perception and our energies to what's really fucking going on, dog. And if you want to debate about the elements and how they make up the universe, if you look at the elemental chart from hydrogen, every single element after that is combined to make a new one. That's all it is. The crossing of different things to make something new. Pure creation. So we have the elements in us. We have the composition of the astrological alignment within us. And I'm gonna get to that too with astrotheology, man. And all of this, combining all of this and understanding how we work is gonna manifest the Kundalini energy and have it facilitated properly. Because if it does manifest in the unfacilitated vessel, unprepared vessel that is not healthily taken care of, not balanced out, this is what happens. So Kundalini in yogic theory is primal energy, or Shakti, located at the base of the spine. Different spiritual traditions teach methods of awakening Kundalini for the purpose of reaching enlightenment. Kundalini is described as lying coiled at the base of the spine, 3 times represented as either a goddess or sleeping serpent waiting to be awakened. Many individuals whose Kundalini has been unexpectedly unleashed do not know what is happening, and the prevailing social ignorance about this multidimensional transformative process makes it hard to find medical or alternative health practitioners or spiritual advisors who recognize the symptoms, particularly when they are strongly physical. It manifests physically as well. Energy is matter times light squared. So you're gonna feel it in different ways. And if you're not preparing the physical vessel to open up to new energy channels, it's gonna fry and burn indiscriminately. The cells will burn indiscriminately. Many people will know that risen Kundalini throws open the gates to a wide variety of mystical, paranormal, and magical vistas, but few realize it can also dramatically impact the physical self. A large percentage of individuals affected have reported long bouts of anomalous illness, as well as radical mental, emotional, interpersonal, psychic, spiritual, and lifestyle changes. This can manifest as a type of psychosis, a type of pride, thinking you're above people, separate from people. If the vessel is not prepared in the right way elementally, because energy is matter times light squared, addressing the matter and the light squared behind it, it's going to manifest in different ways, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, psychologically, everything. And and it also causes disease within the body, because the energy that is out of balance is going to manifest physically. And due to astrotheology, the different energies governed by the planets also correspond to different parts of the body. And depending on each sign and what we do with our doshas and understanding our elements is going to actually open us up and get us ready for this energy to be manifested, because this is life. This is life. I explained in my other videos about prana, chi, organ energy, real energy, ki, reiki, all kia, all the different types of energy from east to the west is just a network of energy preparing itself to manifest the Kundalini energy coiled 3 times at the base of the spine. And it all comes down to this, man, in astrotheology, Ayurveda, yoga, tai chi, qigong, all the different hidden schools, Taoism, all the hidden schools and ancient practices point to this, the network of energy and the expansion of the Kundalini, the prana, the life force, tapping into the universe itself. And the following are common manifestations of the risen Kundalini: muscle. And I don't want to read this right here, bruh, and for all of a sudden for you to feel like you have these things and then be like, my Kundalini's risen, and now you think your Kundalini's risen, bro, and that's it. Like, I don't want you to identify with this. This practice and doing these things are not a sense of identification. It's a sense of understanding who we are as a human being, not separating ourselves, experiencing it and giving the truth to the other people that deserve this just as much as we do. And it's our responsibility to express the divine right and inheritance of what it means to be a human being, and not identify with it as a way to enhance the ego. And which, if you do that, it's going to manifest and make these things even more stronger in a way that it's going to hurt you, dog. It's going to hurt your energy field. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody motherfucking Neo, man. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's Neo. Gee, we're all motherfucking Neos. And we all need to learn and stay in a state of learning from Morpheus, the universe. You know what I'm saying? We can't motherfucking think we're Neo all of a sudden the one, and I'm that, no, you know what I'm saying? Like, nah, this is about expanding together, bringing together humanity. You know what I'm saying? And it's not a state of separateness at all. So when I read this, I want you to really take it in with humility and discernment, and understand that this could have happened to you, and this could be happening, or it hasn't yet, and you can understand what to do to prevent it. And by everything that I've given you in the last couple videos, with the nectar of the Kundalini, like drinking that, what it does, the CHRISM, the sacred secretion, facilitating the physical body, how all of these are applied together with astrotheology and Ayurvedic application to the transmutation of energy and the elements that reside within us, and considering everything on an alchemical scale. This is how we can really expand as human beings, bro. And the negative, like what happens, are common manifestations of the risen Kundalini: muscle twitches, cramps or spasms, energy rushes or immense electricity circulating the body, itching, vibrating, prickling, tingling, stinging or calling sensations, intense heat or cold, involuntary bodily movements, jerking, tremors, shaking, feeling an inner force pushing one into postures or moving one's body in unusual ways, may be misdiagnosed as epilepsy, restless leg syndrome, or PLMD, alterations in eating and sleeping patterns, episodes of extreme hyperactivity or conversely overwhelming fatigue, intensified or diminished sexual desires, headaches, pressures within the skull, racing heartbeat, pains in the chest, digestive system problems, numbness or pain in the limbs, particularly the left foot and leg. Pain, oh, that's a trip, because never mind, but pains and blockages anywhere, often in the back and the neck. Emotional outbursts, rapid mood shifts, seemingly unprovoked or excessive episodes of grief, fear, rage, and depression, spontaneous vocalizations, including laughing and weeping, are as unintentional and uncontrollable as hiccups. Hearing an inner sound or sounds classically described as flute, drum, waterfall, birds singing, bees buzzing, etc., mental confusion, altered states of consciousness, heat, ecstasy and bliss, psychedelic experiences, extrasensory perceptions, OBE, past life memories, increased creativity, new interests and self-expression, communication, intensified understanding and sensitivity, insight into one's own essence, enhanced awareness of one's energetic environment, including the impressions from others, bruh. You know, usually when you have feelings, you know, and things about people, you know, and you're not trying to judge them, but you keep getting the same feelings and representations, you know, your energetic field might just be tapping in one time to something you don't resonate with, and it might be because your Kundalini is activated and dormant. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of the times, you know, if this gets brought up to somebody who is not in that state of awareness, it gets deemed as you're feeling too much, or you're doing too much, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're just on a different spectrum of feeling and understanding, and you're tapping into the source and vibration more so than others would be. So if you took these type of things to somebody who's not on that level, you're gonna be demonized. You're gonna feel wrong. You know what I'm saying? And a negative experience with Kundalini's rising can, depending on severity, give anywhere from being mildly upsetting to be truly devastating, bruh. But there are some things that can be done. But seriously, it's really vital to take into consideration, if you're looking at Kundalini energy and prana, if you're looking at sexual transmutation of the energy within us, of the creative life force, if you're looking at the CHRISM, if you're looking at sacred secretion, if you're looking at all of these things and not taking them all into consideration in a syncretic fashion, you know, not spilling the seed, looking at the elements, what we are as human beings on all levels, you're gonna have negative consequences of doing this, because the Kundalini energy is gonna come. It's part of our life, man. You know what I'm saying? And in order to facilitate the vessel and properly nurture this energy, and to not cause damage to the system, that we will have to come back and the karma will be very severe. You know what I'm saying? We have to take this into consideration, bro. Because whether we like it or not, if we're half-assed doing these practices, it's gonna manifest in a negative manner. You know what I'm saying? And we have to take into consideration all of them, regardless of what our carnal nature and our carnal mind feels is right, and what our carnal mind deems necessary. We have to look beyond ourselves, beyond the physical shell, beyond the five senses, and understand what's really going on. You know what I'm saying? And it really comes down to this, man. It comes down to understanding everything. You feel me? And we have to take it all into consideration, man. And now I'm gonna bring up, you know, looking at astrotheology, the medical astrology of ourselves, and how they correspond to the self within us. So the further one regresses in time, the more obvious it becomes that the principle and sunrise shows the beauty of natural singular religious worship found around the globe has revolved all around nature. So as above, so below. This nature worship has included reverence not only for the earth, its many creatures and their fecundity, but also for the sun, moon, planets, and stars. For many thousands of years, man has looked to the skies and become awestruck by what he has observed. This awe has led to the reverence and worship both of the night and day skies, an adoration called astrotheology. While fertility worship has constituted an important and prevalent part of human religion, little has astonished humankind more than the sky, with its enormous blazing white day orb in the azure expanse, and with its infinite twinkling black night dome. So fascinated by the sky or heavens has been man that he has created entire religions with organized priesthoods, complex rituals, and massive edifices in order to tell its story. Man, so the story begins as far back as the current evidence reveals, with the night sky as the primary focus of pre-agricultural nomadic peoples. The night sky held night sky image particular importance in the lives of desert nomads because the fiery sun was a hindrance to them, while the cool night allowed them to travel. In traveling by night, these desert nomads became keenly aware of the night sky's various landmarks, including the stars, planets, and the moon. The nomads noticed regularity and began to chart the skies, hoping to divine omens, portents, and signs. Others who developed the astronomical science included ancient mariners who journeyed thousands of miles through the open seas, such as Polynesians whose long Pacific voyages have been estimated to have begun at least 30,000 years ago. The astronomical science allowed the ancients to predict weather patterns, the turn of the seasons, and attendant climate changes, as well as comets, asteroids, and meteors menacing the earth. So they looked towards the stars and they directly composed what was going on in the tangible universe around them. This archaeoastronomy was an accurate prognosticator for daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly events. Accurate. It's very accurate. Looking towards the stars. As above, so below. Indeed, it was an augur for the changes of entire ages, some of which, as in the chronologies of the Maya, Babylonians, and Hindus, extend back hundreds of thousands or millions of years. Determining that archaeoastronomy requires the use of astronomy, archaeology, ethnography, and other sciences to study legends, texts, artifacts, and architectural remains. Such fascinating relics include rock paintings, megalithic structures, calendars, and medicine wheels. Cultural remains and ruins globally demonstrate the ancients' interest in and knowledge of the complex regularity of the motions of the sun, moon, and stars, and unusual occurrences such as the appearance of a nova or comet in the sky. You know, it's just, it corresponds, man, as above, so below. You know what I'm saying? So accurately giving a representation of what's going on physically and tangibly to the five senses, looking to the stars, you know, and the energy behind them and what they do. So if we look at this astrochemical, physiological chart and chromatic chart that was given to us by Santos Bonacci, we can see that if you circumnavigate from the east around back to the east on the astrological wheel, you can see how it starts from January and points to different parts of the body. You know what I'm saying? And what it does and how it plays different roles alchemically on our body and our system. So if somebody's dominated by Scorpios and ruled by Mars, they're gonna have a deficiency in this energy because they have to balance out the opposite end of the spectrum for themselves. So so for me, I'm a Scorpio, you know, a rising Libra. You know what I'm saying? If I look at this, man, I'm missing calcium sulfate. You know what I'm saying? So I have to intake more foods and complement my dosha with this mineral, because this is also applying to what we're missing as in our doshas, man. You know what I'm saying? So if you take these charts, I'll put a link to it and how to understand it more in down there, because Santos Bonacci, he put it down so well. He gave up his life for this, you know what I'm saying? And I'd rather give the credit and the understanding of all this stuff to this man, because he helped me to understand and expand my energy field and see how it corresponds to the astrology, you know what I'm saying, and why it actually corresponds to astrology. Because each energy center in the body, each gland and chakra, meridian, all of that aligns with different types of the or different parts of the astrological wheel, and the energy that is governed by the planet and the astrological sign that you were born under. So if you were born at a certain time, like, you know, look at your natal birth chart, see what's going on there, see what energies are dominant within you. That you can also look and apply that to what your dosha may be as well. And like I gave you earlier, it showed the correspondence of each dosha with the astrological signs and the planet that governs them. And astrotheology goes even further back in time to ancient Vedic astrology. So the Vedic astrology will correspond to the doshas even more in harmony than this does right here. But this shows what we're also missing, what we're prolific in, what we're good at. You know what I'm saying? And it's the energies and the alchemical structure that governs who we are. You know what I'm saying? And so with that being said, if we look at our natal birth chart, understand how in astral theology and looking at the different religions and how it actually corresponded to astronomy and to our whole chemical makeup and the whole way the elements were arranged within the star system in a way that or within the cosmos in a way that the planets govern different things happening because of the energies that they represented. You know what I'm saying? And just like we see, from the source, if you hear like Raphael or Samael or Uriel, they all mean different types of things of God. So when they were spoken to existence, they govern different types of energies. And that's why when you tap into a spirit, or you pray to a certain being or angel or deity or whatever mask you want to put on it, or if you're trying to pray to God, whatever, those are representations of energy of the source that govern different aspects and manifestations of that energy from the source. So if you tap in, you're tapping into those energy fields to open up the different neural pathways and energy centers in your body to bring in this energy. If we want to talk about what is this doing physically, what is this doing to alchemically to us, you know what I'm saying? And so taking into consideration all the aspects of us on an elemental level, and then coming into astrotheology and looking at what we're missing as a being coming into the planet as well on a physical level. So now we can look at the different cell salts that we need to make up into our composition so we can function properly as a being and balance out our doshas even further. So depending on one of the 12, whichever astrological sign you're ruled by, what your sixth house your sixth house is and what your rising sign is going to determine with your natal chart and through astrotheology what you're missing on a cell level or on a cellular level, so you can repair and completely transcend what we are, and what our problems are and our impurities, etc. Because we need these extra than another person may with their ruling sign and their sixth house and their ascending sign. And just like they govern different things, the moon governs the tides, and depending which planet is in retrograde, or when an eclipse happens, a blue moon, a harvest moon, all of these different things have different energies, whether it's even a full moon. Just the other day, Saturn came very close to the moon and it was a different energy. Like I didn't even sleep that night. Like, I didn't even know Saturn was so close to the moon, and I didn't sleep that night. And, I've had visions of my past lives and an occurrence with the Kundalini when I saw it rise. And I've had visions of me being on Saturn. And and this is what happens when you get in tap with your energy field and understanding who you are. You have experiences like these, and I just went over what we did by or what happens when you manifest Kundalini energy, whether it be negative, abrupt, unconscious, or conscious, positive, and forced. You know what I'm saying? And with conscious activity, and either way it's going to manifest and come through if you're doing these practices. You know what I'm saying? And I had visions of my past life, and I do have an affiliation with Saturn, and it just trips me out to feel that alchemically the other day it did play a role in my chemical composition. Or for example, when Scorpio is ruled by Mars and Pluto, and so when in the month of Aries, I felt a huge surge of energy, and I had to deal with different types of traits of Mars, the warring, understanding the ego even more in depth and how it can manifest, etc., because of what Mars represents for Scorpio. And now Saturn also too, having to do with my past life, actually is corresponding to my energetic alchemical output right now, how it's reacting to me. And so we have to take all these things into consideration, bro. All of these things: alkalinity, astrotheology, what we're missing on a cellular level, how to make it up, what foods knock to combine, what foods complement our dosha, what do we crave, what do we have to balance in our cravings so we have the proper alchemical makeup of our elements within our doshas, what doshas dominate our energies, you know, what and what part of the body and is the dosha manifesting as, and which one is dominating those parts of the body. What things can we do to combat the negative manifestations of the doshas? You know, all of these things need to be taken into consideration if you even want to look at the sacred secretion and the CHRISM happening and occurring within the body on an alchemical level. Because like we saw earlier, the doshas can manifest within the mind. And if you're not complementing the dosha within the mind the right way, how is any type of neural synapses going to happen on a grand scale? You're only going to cause the machine to fry. The Kundalini energy burns the cells indiscriminately, bruh. The fire of the divine in the fornix, the ventricles where the cerebrospinal fluid is created. The fornix is rooted in furnace. That's where furnace comes from. Fornication, burning away of the seed. You know, all of these need to be taken into consideration because it's written in the motherfucking stars and who we are, that this is what needs to be taken into consideration. Not only if we're trying to do spiritual practice or new age stuff, you know what I'm saying? This means being a human being, dog. This means embracing what we are on every level. Every level. We have to look at it because it's not just one or the other. This is a synergy of syncretic information that was laid out. Different cultures, they had different environments and alignments and things that they had to do in order to balance their own doshic fields out. So it's like we have to look at the elements of everything in order to consider expanding as a human being and looking into what we are and embracing everything on an alchemical level. And you know, we have to balance it out. And so I'm gonna put a list, you know, underneath the video. You can peep game on the link, and it's gonna give you exactly what signs are exactly what sign is deficient in which cell salt, and what we need to provide more for ourselves and integrate more into our diet for us to balance ourselves out and resonate with the right energy and be a conduit and facilitate the right elemental makeup on an alchemical level, bro. So Aries is potassium phosphate, said to be a good brain food, helpful for nerve and brain imbalances. Foods containing this salt include parsley, beans, beets, carrots, linseed meal, peanuts, milk, buttermilk, cheese, and avocados. Taurus, sodium sulfate, said to be good at regulating the water supply. Foods containing, oh man, it's just a trip because this is an earthen sign and regulates the water supply. You know, if you look at the bed of the sea, it's earth. Structuring the earth is water. So said to be good in regulating the water supply in the body system. So you see right here how Taurus, an earthen astrological sign, is governing how the water is regulated within the body, giving it the structure that it needs to move fluently within the body. And we need the cell salts in the body in order to regulate these functions and have them move properly, because of the elemental makeup of our dosha and what is in the universe. We have to take all of that into consideration, and we can add things into our diet like cauliflower, lettuce, cabbage, turnips, radishes, onions, egg yolk, celery, Brussels sprouts, and kohlrabi, and apply it with the Ayurvedic technique of putting together foods in Samyoga, which is the name of combining foods in the alchemical process. We can actually highlight all of our traits and create the perfect harmony within this system and environment, bro. And said to be good for muscle and ligament. I skipped one. Potassium chloride for Gemini, said to be good for forming and distributing fibrin throughout the body. When clogging occurs, it's associated with the sinuses and throat problems as well as fibrous growths. Foods containing this salt include cheese, egg yolks, radishes, coconuts, lentils, carrots, spinach, asparagus, and sauerkraut. Cancer, calcium fluoride, good for muscle and ligament tonicity. Turnips, asparagus, beets, roots. Leo, magnesium sulfate, healthy for nervous tissue, assisting with nerve transmission. Fiery sign, transmitting the energies through the nerves. The Kundalini operates on a network of nerves and hormones. So it's like, look at what the characteristic of the dang astrological sign is doing within the body, and what the cell salt applied, or how the cell salt is active within the system, being governed by that element and astrological sign. So this all corresponds, bruh. And said to be good for healthy nerve tissue and assisting in nerve transmission, the fire spreading, the flame expanding, feeding, and it just shows, man. It's written in the paint, written in the stars, man. As above, so below. Include cauliflower, cabbage, asparagus, beech nuts, almond, whole wheat, as well as fruits such as lemon, limes, oranges, grapefruit, figs, gooseberries, peaches, cherries. Virgo, potassium sulfate, said to be good for circulation of oils through the body. Which supposedly assists digestion and kidney function. Libra, sodium phosphate, said to be good for balancing the acid alkaline function in the body. Bruh, balancing. What is Libra symbolized by? The scales. Right there, it's balancing the acid alkaline function within the body. It's written in the stars, man. Scorpio, calcium sulfate, said to be good for building and sustaining epithelial tissue, thus supposedly good for all skin diseases. Sagittarius, silica, said to be good for building and maintaining skin, hair, nails, and nerve coverings, as well as removing decomposed matter from the skin. Capricorn, sodium chloride, said to be good for regulating water supply throughout the body, affecting elimination and how cool or hot we are, regardless of the temperature. Bruh, Aquarius is the major water sign, dog. You know what I'm saying? And it regulates the water supply in the body through sodium chloride. Written in the stars. Pisces, ferrous phosphate, said to be good at transporting oxygen through the body, thus aiding circulation, which assists the purifying and stimulation of the internal organs. And these are the 12 salts that compose our body and considered to be necessary to our health. The corresponding to the ascendant and sign on the 6th house are very important to our biochemical workings. So the sun sign, the ascendant sign, and sign on the 6th house, it represents the physical vehicle and therefore the primary chemical makeup of a person. The sign of the 6th house also shows important factors concerning the physical health. Since the 6th represents the health of that individual, I've also found that if a person has 3 or more planets in a given sign, that mineral salts need to be kept in the diet regularly. Instead of just trying to take a supplement, you have to always be giving this to your body in most of your meals, eating them raw, absorbing the proper nutrients and the cell salts to have an alchemical reaction physically, so it translates all throughout the different energetic systems that make us up. Whether you want to call it a nadi, meridian, chakra system, all of these things, man, they all correspond within the elements to our doshas, to our astrological signs, how we were born, what environment we were born into, how we approach diet from then, etc. all means something up until now, and where we're at and how our body reacts to things. What our astrological sign is, the 12 missing salts, because on an alchemical level, it's going to manifest energy. It's going to open us up to harmony and true harmonious production on an alchemical level within this body, this shell, so we can expand truly and manifest the Kundalini energy coiled 3 times at the base of the spine in a way that it's healthy, and we can properly nurture the seed for the CHRISM and the sacred secretion that happen monthly, and for us to ascend as our divine right as a human being. And this is what it comes down to look at everything on this level, because all of the factors need to be considered. You know what I'm saying? If one branch is only considered, how are you going to reap the benefits of having the whole tree, my dude? How are you not going to be connected to the roots of what's going on? The tree of life. How are you going to be connected looking at one branch, bruh? You can't do that. You can't say the sun is the only planet that we need. No, it's not. There's 11 other planets within the solar system that we need to take into consideration, because they're all playing different parts to what's going on Earth, within our body, and the chemical makeup, and the elements, everything. And we have to take into consideration how it's affecting us as a society and as an individual, what the environment's doing, because all of this plays a part on what we are and how we're going to balance out our energies in our system, man. And by taking Dr. Sebi's alkaline foods, looking at the different organic foods that are still bioavailable. And when I say bioavailable, they haven't been watered down throughout years of genetic mutation and forced production because of in the name of profit and the miseducation of thinking these are the only types of foods we can eat. And so it kept the circulation of these foods to be misused. And if you look at dogs, for example, look at what we've done to dogs, bro. You know what I'm saying? And if you look at the oldest pictures of dogs that we have, and then compare them to now, the genetic makeup of them has become weaker and highlighted the negative physical traits of what's happening. So if you look at fruit and food, and what's happening if it's not eaten fresh, or if it's sitting in the shelf for this long time, if it's not ripe and it has to ripen either on the tree, or if it has to ripen off of the tree, what's going on in the elemental composition of that. And if I consume it alchemically, as opposed to something fresh or not, or something that's going against my dosha or with it, all of that is going to make an alchemical change within the body, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and energetically. And it all needs to be taken into consideration. This is I feel this is true nutrition on a complete grand scale, because if we look at the building blocks of the universe, it's all a part of us, as above so below, man. And real talk, man, it's very important, man. And mad love. This was a long one for real, but this stuff needs to be addressed, man, because it's too easy to fit into a template and be like, this is the only way, you know what I'm saying, without truly exploring what it means and why. You know what I'm saying? We have to start asking why, and see how it works, and integrate it into our life and our consciousness in a way that we're gonna see the results in an experiential fashion, bro. Like, this is what it's about. Don't just take what I'm saying and all of a sudden be like, oh wow, I know about Ayurveda and all these things, and no, like, really understand it. Like, what is it doing to you? If you understand, if you're a Vata type, and if you eat more Vata foods, you're gonna go out of balance, and feel and try to remember what happened if you are a Vata or if you are a Pitta when you ate these type of foods. How did it make you feel? This is how you can experience what it means for you, and how Ayurveda actually works, or how yoga actually works, or how Tai Chi actually works, or how crystal energy actually works, or how the elements actually compose our body. Because if we don't and only accept it as theory, it's not going to be experience and understanding. And how are we going to relay it to the next person in a way that they can apply it to their life if it's only going to be in a way of theory and speaking about somebody else and all these other things? Like, we need to question and discover for ourselves and integrate this information in an alchemical manner, man. And that's all I really got for you today, man. And it's been a fucking blessing, bro. It's been a blessing, man, for real. Thank you. And stay peeped on my channel, and I will stay posting daily. I really wanted to post something about superfoods the other day, but it was like, there's too much more beyond that. I can't just give you alkaline diet. I can't just give you, superfoods and all of this without considering the alchemical process of the universe and how it's reflected not only out there, but it's within us as well. and namaste, man. Much motherfucking love, blessings. Thank you for taking the time to peep game on this video. Let's apply this, dog. Let me know what you think. If you have any more questions, if you want to know my experiences, I'd be happy to make a video about it, because if I can relate to you my mistakes and my solutions, maybe that can help you and show you through humility and honesty that we all fuck up, and our potential as human beings is beyond that. And the miseducations of the things we've been given has disturbed our psyches and our energies and everything on an alchemical level, dog. So we have to look at this, and we have more control over what's been given to us, man. And we have to take control and initiate through experience, man. And much love and blessings to you. May the prana, expand your energy field, man. And peace, man. Let me know what you guys thought. If you guys have anything any other type of topics you want me to go over, I'd be fucking happy to. And there's going to be so many other videos and things that I'm going to expand upon. I'm going to have speakers come on. We're going to talk about things on an alchemical level. Be open, stay students. Let's run it. You know what I'm saying? So much love. Stay up, get well. You know what I'm saying? And let's keep expanding, man. Peace.